The call of God certainly comes, in so many different ways. I know for myself, when I first showed up at the seminary, I came from a Catholic home. My parents were very Catholic, made sure that my sister, my brothers, and I, went to Mass on Sunday. They sacrificed to put us through Catholic grammar school, and my brothers and I through Catholic high school. And no matter what, we had to be at Mass on Sunday. We had meals together on Sunday. And my vocation flowed out of that. My parents prayed. They said, since all of their children were younger, that one of them, if they were called to be a priest or religious in the church, that they would have the grace to respond. And I just had a tremendous amount of support from my immediate family and my extended family. When I showed up at the seminary, and I showed up with a class of 11 others when we started, and the backgrounds were extremely varied. Men who had worked 20 years as accountants, done a full term of service in the armed forces, other men who had just finished college, as I had, men who were in their 30s. And the backgrounds were different. I came from, again, my vocation grew out of that Catholic home. Others, had that same experience, but there were guys who had a conversion experience. In my first real encounter with it, all my friends had just grown up in a kind of Catholic environment, but here was somebody who, had lived a life that perhaps, they some way would look back on and not be too proud of, and yet God reached out in the midst of all that and called them back to a life of holiness, and in that called them to serve as a priest. So many different ways that God does call, and I'm able to see that now as I look ahead and deal with and encounter men who are discerning priesthood, the different ways that God does call.